There was a time at the beginning of the quarantine that we tried out imperfect foods because it just seemed like such an easy way to get some produce. And I liked the idea of eating some vegetables that maybe aren't as pretty for the grocery store, that don't meet the grocery store standards, but that are still good and edible, and so that we could have less food waste. So anyway, this recipe today features some items from our Imperfect Foods box, and it was kind of a lot of fun to use some vegetables that I normally don't use in my cooking. Today's recipe is bangers and mash, which is a staple, apparently, in England. My friend Becca lived there for 4 years from Gourmet Cooking on a Dime, so she taught me this recipe. However, this is my own version because of my food restrictions. I cannot eat potatoes. Unfortunately, it's one of the tragedies of my life. So today our mash is going to be made out of cauliflower and some other root vegetables. I love putting different types of root vegetables into my mashes, whether it used to be mashed potatoes or now that I'm doing mashed cauliflower. So today we're going to put this daikon in our mashed cauliflower, just for fun because we got it in our box. And I've never tried this before, but I'm sure it'll be pretty tasty. We also got a mystery root vegetable. I was assuming it was a beet, and if it was a white beet, I thought it would do pretty well in our mash. So Jeremy is peeling it for us, and then we'll find out what it is. I'm going to steam up these vegetables. I always like to use my electric kettle to start the process of boiling. And so I'm getting my pot ready and my steamer ready so that after I chop up these vegetables, I can stick them in the steamer. Jeremy is now chopping the daikon. He's just going to chop it into chunks because we don't need them to be bite-sized pieces since we're just going to mash it up anyway. Now Jeremy's tackling the mystery root vegetable, which I was surprised to see it had some color on the inside. So he went ahead and chopped it up, and then we investigated it further. As you can see, there's quite a bit of color in this root, whatever it is, and so I decided I did not want it in my mash. So I decided to just cut it into wedges and then set it aside and use it for something else. Okay, now I'm adding my cauliflower to the steamer, as much as will fit in there, and then I'm also going to place the daikon on top of it. This time I cheated and just got a bag of cauliflower. Usually I get heads of cauliflower and chop it up myself, but it is really nice to have the pre-chopped cauliflower for a change. We don't eat a lot of meat in our family, and when we do, I like to get the best quality I can as far as how ethically the meat was raised and the ingredients that are in it. So we're going to go ahead and start with cooking these sausages. I always preheat my pan, so I'm going to put it at about medium to medium high, and I always use water to see if it's ready. Right now it's not ready. The water is not evaporating very quickly. Still not ready. Now that it's ready, I'll turn the heat down to medium-low, And then get ready for the sausage. Once the pan has cooled slightly, you can add some oil. I like to use avocado oil because it doesn't burn very quickly. And then you can just coat the bottom of the pan until it's nice and even. All right, now I'm going to add the sausage. My oil heated up quite a bit. I'm not sure why, because it was on medium-low, but my stove is kind of funny. So I'm adding the sausage. I'm going to take it off the heat a little bit as I add them to allow my pan to cool down a bit so they don't burn. Now I'm going to simply just brown the sausages on all sides evenly.
Yay! My hot dogs.
The cauliflower has been steaming for 10 minutes, so I'm going to check it with a fork and see if it pierces the vegetables easily. It is not. So it looks like it's only about halfway done. I'm going to set the timer for another 10 minutes. As you can see, I do a lot of trial and error in my cooking, and that's just the way it is. Once your sausages are evenly browned and look good to you, add in a little bit of water, just a couple ounces, to get it to steam, and then put a lid on your pan. And then you will let the sausages steam for about 8 minutes.
Careful not to cut off your fingers.
Are you just doing this so you can catch the moment when I cut my finger off?
Yes.
I used to always serve bangers and mash with stir-fried mushrooms, but unfortunately I found out I was allergic to mushrooms. So now I always serve it with some caramelized onions, and if you cook them long enough and caramelize them enough, they are almost as good as stir-fried mushrooms. So first I'm just going to peel and then slice this onion into kind of long strips. I'm not going to dice it. Okay, the timer went off, so I'm going to check the cauliflower and daikon. I'll pierce it with a fork to see if it's easy to stab. And then I am also going to check the sausages. They should be done. I'll just make sure that all the water has cooked away. Once the water has evaporated, then I'll take them off the heat. Now I am adding the onions straight to the pan where the sausage was, and I'm going to cook those down while I'm finishing up the mash. Now I'm going to add a few cloves of garlic to the steaming vegetables. I always use fresh garlic. I've always got it on hand because it's good. And so now I am smashing it with a wide knife to make it easier to pull the skins off, which is something that I discovered and it changed my life, just smashing it to make it easier to peel. And then I'm going to just trim the rough ends off of each of the cloves and add it straight to the steamer so it can steam for just a couple of minutes. Today I'm using my emulsion blender to mash up these vegetables, but sometimes I also use my electric egg beater, and that works just as well. Once your mash is smooth and creamy, then you can taste it and season it with salt and pepper and any other flavors that you desire. Now I'm going to add the sausages to the pan of onions and cover it so that they can warm up a little bit before I serve the food.